All right, we're back. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if this one works better for you guys. So those of you that were on that last one, we'll wait for you. We'll wait for you guys to see the new one now. Alrighty. Let's see here. All right. Get the new one going. There we go. Hey, welcome again. This is part two, take two. So if you saw the first video, this is the actual one where we're going to get this thing going. We're going to be having, as the caption says right there, Dr. Nate Hearn, and he is the author, speaker, coach from Friday Night Lights, Behind the Lights, Untold Stories from Behind the Lights. And so this is going to be so fun to have him on here, because if you've never heard him speak, if you've never heard of him, man, I need to bring Coach Nate Hearn, Tom Ziegler, Billy Cox. I need to bring these guys, Jacob Salem, I need to bring Laura Wells. We need to bring all these people to Tyler. These people that I'm meeting through the Ziegler organization, through our inner circle. There's an incredible talent. John Bentley, Peggy Rigas, all you guys that we're meeting, Dr. Rita, all of you guys that we're meeting through the inner circle. You guys have so much talent, so much amazing skills, and I want to bring that to the community here of Tyler, Texas. So again, guys, thank you guys for joining us on here. We're just going to go ahead and get this thing going. Let me see here. Oops. All right. So I sent him the new one. Should be able to see the new social media or the new Facebook Live one that we're doing. Again, just part of the technicalities of this thing, guys. The cool thing about the replay is that we're going to be able to fast forward through this if you guys aren't watching this live. So apologize for that, but just gonna have to see if we don't have to if we don't have to go to that streaming service. As much as I don't want to go to that streaming service, we're getting some really good results. Like yesterday with Julie, we were able to bring people that we'd never heard of. Some people saw the video and commented that I'd never heard of, we'd never reached, and all of a sudden people started coming in. So I can't wait to tell you how that one came out. And then here in a little bit, we're going to be able to hear from Dr. Coach Nate Hearn. So he's joining right now. He was able to find us. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this a little bit right there. Okay, perfect. There we go. And so it must have been something on the deal. It says adding. Coach, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, I got you. How are you?
I'm great, Johnny. Thanks for all the work you've done.
Oh, hang on just one moment. It might be something in my, it might.
I just lost you.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, that makes a world of difference. Fantastic. Now I can't see you. You don't have to come on camera if you don't want to, but I'd like the camera. I don't know if where you can get on the camera. I know you said you were traveling, but perfectly okay. I just want people to be able to see your beautiful smile.
Yes, sir. Let me see. No, I can't get on camera, John. I'm sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. Hey, we're just going to go ahead and continue on. The whole thing about how this works, and we're trying something a little bit different. We're trying something that, like I was telling you, or like I was mentioning to you, I'm also talking to Bob Berg. He's going to be on here. He's going to be on here this coming Friday, and we're just trying something a little bit different. Something that is how can I say, against what people are doing.
Yes,
And
sir.
It may work, it may not work, right? It's all a trial and error type of thing. But I can't tell you, I can't express to you how much I appreciate you agreeing to come on here. And so, if you would go ahead and just introduce yourself to I call it the Fun Life community. This is where we encourage the grown folk to tap into their childlike faith that is inside every single one of us. So go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell them a little bit about yourself, Coach.
Nate Hearn, a retired educator, science teacher, football coach, principal, and I'm a avid fan of Johnny Ortiz.
You're too kind, man. You're too kind. Now you wrote a book, and I'm showing it to them. Friday Night Lights, Untold Stories from Behind the Lights, and I've probably heard you speak about 4, maybe 5 times, if I'm counting this correctly. The first time I heard you speak, Coach, you told your story, and it was very reminiscent of when I very first heard Zig Ziglar speak for the first time. You literally, the whole room was caught up. I mean, go share your story, share where you come from, because you were on that team, right? You guys were. Tell me the name of the football team you were on. Odessa Permian.
Yes, you're correct. Uh-huh.
What was y'all's nickname? Was it Mojo?
Mojo, John. Mm-hmm.
We were at Cujo, JT. And unfortunately, sometime Mojo, Mojo was pretty bad. Mojo was. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
Well, the nice thing that the most interesting thing about the team was that we won a ton of games. The years that I was there, we won more football games than any other high school in the state of Texas. But the thing that people really don't know is that we were playing with guys that were offensive linemen that were 200 pounds and less. We played 1 year. We had the smallest team in the state in the biggest division. And our middle linebacker, Marcus Lopez, weighed 145 pounds. Middle linebacker. No one on the defense weighed more than 190 pounds, and we won 13 ball games. That's the history of the school. We were always had those small guys, but they had big hearts. That's what people need to realize about that team and that program.
Wow. Coach, you've had an impact on so many lives, but it's because someone had an impact in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that story real briefly?
Sure, I can. Yes, it was 2, and that's what made it so unusual. I was one of those problem children in elementary school. I was the guy that was always getting sent to the principal's office, sitting in the hallway, not allowed to go to recess. And when I got home, and this was back in the 60s, so I can use this vernacular because it was what happened. You just got beat down when you got home. If you didn't do what your mom and dad told you, just got beat down, right? So I was that kid, and I'm a middle child, so middle children are psychologically screwed up anyway. So I had all of that going on, wearing clothes with holes in them, wearing other people's clothes, shoes with holes in them, carrying a bologna sandwich in a greasy brown paper sack. And I didn't want to go to school anymore. I hated school. And I told my mom, but my mom and my parents were like, no, you're going to go. So my first day of junior high changed my life. 7th grade, my science teacher, Mr. Clyde Hake, and my 7th grade football coach, they changed my life. They made me believe in myself. I could quit seeing myself as a victim. And this is the amazing thing, Johnny, that I still had the holes. I'm still wearing hand-me-down clothes, holes in my shoes and things, but they changed my attitude. They changed how I looked at myself. The clothes didn't change, just the mind changed. And them feeding into me, giving me confidence, I just completely changed. My mom, if she was alive today, she would tell you, it was her favorite phrase was, God makes a way out of no way. And she would tell people that I have 8 children. They all graduate from college. They're all professional. But the one who hated school, the one I literally had to threaten to beat, to make him go to school, he is my only teacher, the only teacher out of all of them. And she said, it's a God thing, and God makes a way out of no way. So that transformation by those 2 men is what saved my life.
Man, you know, there's something to be said. I mean, it's one thing it's one thing for somebody to have belief in you, but when you start to believe,
Yes,
the rules of engagement change.
it does that.
Absolutely. I recently shared with a group of real estate agents that the 10 most dangerous words in the English language are, what do other people think and what will other people say?
Oh, that's so good. That is so good.
Can you share a little bit about how it's none of our business what other people think or say about us?
Yeah. Well, uh, I was reading a book. I'm gonna try to get it right. Ichiro Tishishima wrote a
Uh-huh.
book called "The Courage to Be Disliked."
Oh.
It's powerful. The
Oh.
courage to be disliked, and he talks about all the interpersonal things that we go through, and we base life upon on being liked by other people. But he said, when you find the power to not buy into that genre, that it gives you freedom. It frees you up. And to me, it's a mind thing. It's a mindset. Just like I said about my teachers, the clothes didn't change.
Yeah.
I still had the clothes, but the mind changed. And it was like, okay, you can talk about me, you can talk about the clothes, but I know now who I am. And this is just temporary for me, right?
Oh man, that's powerful. Yep. I mean, one of the verses, a lot of people know this verse, right? In Psalms 23, there's this one part in the verse where it says, "Yea, though I go through."
Yes,
We
yes,
we did it. It doesn't say, "Hey, when I've come to reside, when I've come to camp out in the valley of the shadow of death, I'm going through. It's only temporary." Man, that's powerful, Coach. And again, I have no script for this, so feel free to share any stories that you think any of the listeners here in East Texas, and we really do, man. We got to get you out here because the schools, the educators, the real estate, man. You know what? Forget the real estate agent. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody, everybody needs to hear what you have to say. I mean, just the stories that you were able to share about the impact, and just a few. Those are just the few that I've heard. I remember the one you shared at the last one I went to about the girl that you started out and she was on the volleyball team and then you had to pick her up. I mean, it had to get just amazing. But I don't know. You can share that story, but you can just share whichever story you think is going to help people. Because the whole reason why I started this surprise Saturday speaker, and luckily I was able to get our brother Tom Ziegler to kick us off, and he did. You know, Tom, he did an
yeah.
incredible job. But it was to help people be more, do more, and have
Mhm.
more in 2024. And not just to have more, because our word for the Fun Life community is really not a word more so than it is a place, right?
Right.
Because it talks about how if you give, it's going to be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so our word or our place that we're trying to be in 2024 is that overflow, that abundance mindset. What can you share about helping people to live in that overflow or having that abundance mindset?
That's so good, Johnny. One of the things that I would like to share is this. It's a virtue from Tom Ziegler's latest book, the 10
Oh,
Leadership
yes.
Virtues for Disruptive Time. You know that book well. I'm sure you have it and you've read it several times. One of the things that's in there that I like sharing is the section on self-control. And I wanna speak a little bit about uh, dealing with conflict God's way,
Yes, go ahead.
and it's based on that virtue from the book. And I think the best way that I can start this off is is through James. James chapter 1, verse 19 and 20 says, "My brothers and sisters, please understand this. Each of you must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and even slower to anger." Why? Because your anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Right? So, I mean, James just covers all of it. And the thing that can destroy us, destroy your business, destroy your life, alienate your friends from you, is your inability to deal with conflict. You have to have that virtue, self-control. It's important. It's one of the most important things in our lives. And in the book, Change the Paradigm, Change Your Life, Bob Proctor says that the virtue self-control should be taught in our schools to our children, should be taught in our homes, it should be taught in our businesses. Everyone needs to understand the importance of self-control. He said self-control is response versus reacting. He said if you're being attacked in public by someone and you react to it, you get mad, you yell, you get angry, you lose your power. You're responding to your environment, and you lose every single time. He said, we can be taught to learn, to think. We can be taught to think. He said, thinking is just like learning how to play the piano or program. You can learn to control your behavior instead of reacting to the environment. He said, if someone attacks you in public and you say, that's not me, that's nothing like me, I don't believe this, that means you're thinking and you're responding to it. And as long as you respond, you maintain your power and your influence. Tom Ziegler says in his book that when you're being attacked in public like that, you should think of two questions to ask yourself. Is that person, would a secure person say or do that? And why is that person insecure? When you ask those two questions, then you're able to respond. Why? Because you're thinking. In Proverbs chapter, Proverbs 25, verse 28, it says, a man or a woman without self-control is like a city with its walls torn down. You know, Johnny, back in those biblical days, every city had a wall around it. Why? To protect the inhabitants. We have to have self-control to protect our lives. You said that you guys, Mr. Ziegler said, in order to be, you got to do. In order to do, you got to have. And what is our jobs? We have to help people be so they can do and have. But we cannot do that if we don't have self-control. One of the greatest examples of self-control that I was able to witness was by my mentor. When I first started coaching and teaching at Permian High School, Mr. Joe Rutledge, he was the vice principal there, but he was also my mentor, one of the greatest men I'd ever met in my whole entire life. And he remained my mentor until the day he died. He had called me to his office to reduce my teaching preps. I was the only coach at Permian High School who had 3 teaching preps. So he was calling me in to say, okay, we're going to take 2 of these teaching requirements from you, just get you to 1 like everyone else. So in the interim of talking about that, his secretary came in and she said, Mr. Rutledge, you have a visitor. So I'm going to excuse myself, Johnny. I was going to excuse myself. Mm-hmm. But he said, no. He said, no, this is not school business. This is community business. So stay. Mr. Rutledge was very active in local politics and community reformation. He loved that. And so the gentleman that came in to talk to him was from the city. And so they talked for about 10 minutes. I'm listening to the conversation back and forth. And then the gentleman from the city was going to excuse himself. And then he asked Mr. Rutledge this question. He says, what do you think about the newly elected city councilman? What are your thoughts? What do you think about him? And Mr. Rutledge said, I think he's a good man. He has a good heart. I think he cares a lot about the people. And I believe he's going to serve that precinct well that he's been elected to. The guy said, he didn't say that about you. And he began to relay all these negative things that supposedly this city councilman had said about Mr. Rutledge. But he was very animated with it. It was like it was coming from him. And I'm watching Mr. Rutledge, and his expression doesn't change. He's sitting there. And when the gentleman finished, he said, "What do you think about him now?" And I will never forget, Johnny, what Mr. Rutledge said. He said, "You asked me what I thought about him. It doesn't matter what he thinks about me.
Mm.
You asked me what I thought about him. It doesn't matter what he thinks about me." And the gentleman kind of sit back. He stood up, and then he shook his head, and he walked out. Now, this is the other amazing thing that happened that day. Mr. Rutledge never said a negative thing about the gentleman. He did not react to him. He responded to him. But he said this to me: "Never let anyone make a victim out of you."
Mm.
Whoa.
Mm.
Never let anyone make a victim out of you. Now, I already had a love and an aspiration for Mr. Rutledge. But seeing him being attacked like that unexpectedly, and for him to respond in that manner, my admiration and his influence in my life exploded. It went tenfold. You don't see that every day, and I will never forget that, John.
Wow.
Now, the most misinterpreted, tragically misinterpreted scripture in the Bible is when Jesus proclaimed, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." We think Jesus is calling us to be appeasers and pacifiers in conflict, right? We think that when we're in conflict, that we're supposed to remain quiet. And when we do that, Johnny, we are false peacemakers. I'm going to give you some scenarios of false peacemakers. These are real life stories. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. All right.
Right.
But these are things that you and I have seen before. Sarah is a nurse and she works at medical center. She goes to lunch with five of her friends, and she's been doing it for a long time. But 80% of the time that she's at lunch with them, they're slandering her boss. Sarah likes her boss, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't say anything because she thinks she's keeping the peace. She thinks she's a peacemaker by staying quiet. She doesn't want to upset the friendship. John works for an agency, a large Asian agency. And so he's invited to go to dinner with 9 other people in the agency. And they pick a 5-star restaurant. John is financially tight, right? So he gets to this 5-star restaurant and he orders an appetizer, and then he gets his normal Caesar salad and drinks water. The other 9, they get wine, they get appetizers, they get steak, lobster, they get dessert. Now, when the bill comes out, one of them says, "This is a nightmare, right? This thing is going to be hard to figure out who got who. So let's just all pay an equal share." Everyone agrees, even John, right? But John is about to blow up inside, right? Because he didn't sign up for this. He didn't sign up to go out and pay for someone else's meal. But he remains quiet. He doesn't say anything because he thinks he's being a peacemaker. What's wrong with those scenarios? You cannot right a wrong with lies and pretense. We have to respond. And Jesus gives us examples of how he always responded. Purity of heart, John, mercy and grace. But he always responded, right? He didn't react, he responded with purity heart, mercy, and grace. Now, let's go further down in the Bible. Let's go to the next passage in James, chapter 1, verse 26. And James says, blessed, he said, no, if you claim to be religious and you have no self-control, you're fooling yourself, and your religion is worthless. If you claim to be religious and you have no self-control, you're fooling yourself, and your religion is worthless. When I started my career in West. Callie and I moved from West Texas to North Texas, and I resigned from teaching and coaching and went to seminary at SMU, graduated with Master of Divinity. So I started pastoring churches full time for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a call from a friend that I'd coached at Permian with for many years. And I've known him for 30 plus years. And he called me and he said, Nate, he said, man, I really need you. He said, I've been hired to be the DC at a school and DC defensive coordinator. And he said, I'm running the 29 cover 2 defense that we ran at Permian. He said, I have a opening for a defensive line coach. And he said, the coaches there, they really don't know how to coach the defensive linemen in this defense. He said, I can take care of the secondary and I've got a pretty good linebacker coach, but I don't know anything about the line coach. So that's why I'm calling you. I really would love to have you. He said, I know you're doing well at your ministry. And he'd been to the church a couple of times. And he said, but please think about it. I need you. So I did. I thought about it and I changed. I went from part-time, full-time to part-time ministry, went back to full-time coaching and teaching. I made the transition. But the transition, I didn't know how difficult it was. It was going to be. It wasn't the coaching and the teaching. It was the drive. Now, as you might have listeners all over this nation, but you know that Texas is a big state.
Oh, yeah.
So we were Callie and I were living in Arlington. The job that I accepted was like an hour and a half away. And it was on the interstate, very busy interstate, bumper to bumper traffic, 24/7, 365 days a year. You tap your brake, that's going to add 10 minutes. If there's an accident, it's 2 hours on that freeway.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing is that school started at 7:30, right? So I've got to get up at 4:30, be on the road by 5 in order to make it there by 6:30 to get in my room and get my room prepared for my kids who are going to come in at 7:30. Now, my main job is coaching football. And coaching football is not a 9 to 5. Coaching football ain't over till it's over. That's 7 days a week, 14, 15, 16 hours a day. And I wasn't getting home done until like 9, maybe 10 o'clock at night. So picture this. I get up at 4. I get back on the road coming home about 9 or 10. I could drink all the coffee in the world. I could drink 50 gallons of coffee and it would not keep me up.
Wow.
In those energy drinks, they made my heart beat real fast and it felt like I'm dying. Probably would have died if I had continued to drink them, right? So I'm just stuck. What I'm doing, trying to get home, is that I'm pulling on the side of the freeway and trying to take a quick nap just to make it home. This is getting dangerous, right?
Yes.
So Callie comes home and one day she says, baby, the superintendent wants you to call him. And she's talking about the superintendent in her district. The school district she works in is 15 minutes from the house. So she said, I think it's about a job. I called him. And he goes, yeah. He said, Nate, I was talking to Callie, just casually having a conversation. I asked about you, and she told us you were back in the coaching and teaching. He said, I had no clue. He said, I'd called you much earlier. He said, because I have a head coaching job here at one of the schools in my district. And he said, the job is yours if you want it. So I took the job, right?
Yeah.
I go back the next day and I tell my friend Mike, and he says, Nate, man, congratulations. He said, I'm so proud for you. He said, I didn't know how you were going to continue to do that. He said, I'm amazed that you made it this long making that drive. He said, I've done that. And he said, I couldn't do it. I had to get a home in this area. So he said, once again, congratulations. He said, but I think these guys that you've been working with, teaching them, they know how to coach the defensive linemen now. I really appreciate you. Yeah. I said, oh, no problem, coach. Thank you. And I've got to go and I've got to tell the head coach. So I knock on his door. And as I'm telling him about the job, I can see his expression changing, right? And when I tell him that I've accepted the job, he stood up and he said, you can't walk in here and do that. You can't walk in here and just do this. You know how devastating this is going to be to those players and these coaches. He said, you can't walk in here and just quit. I will not allow it. I will not allow it.
Wow.
2 days later, I'm sitting in the lobby in the district where Callie works, waiting for the athletic director to come out and fill me in about the new position, head coaching position that I've taken. And my cell phone rang, and it's Mike. And he said, Nate, man, I'm so sorry. He said, I didn't give you a heads up. I didn't warn you about it. He said, I didn't even think about it. And he said, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But then he says, you need to know, hear this. He said, and I'm not defending him. I'm not defending what he did to you. He said, but everyone at this school thinks you hung the moon. He said, when you left, after you leave from here, he said he would come in to my office and rave about the way you were coaching those defensive linemen. He said it was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen. He said, and then you walked into that weight room and you revamped it. You painted it. You put the logos on the wall. You put the rules on the walls. You took all those old rusty weights, you threw them away, and you rearranged the weight room and stations. He said, Nate, before that, even our football players didn't want to go in the weight room. Now everyone wants to use the weight room. The volleyball team, the boys and girls basketball team, the boys and girls track team, everyone wants to schedule time in the weight room because of what you've done, what you did. And you took that off-season weight conditioning and off-season weightlifting and off-season conditioning, and even you put diets, and you put it in booklet form, and you presented it to the staff. It blew them away. They had never seen anybody do things like that. He said they loved you. He said, and you mentored those young coaches. He said, I'm sorry that I didn't tell you about it, but I really appreciate the way you handled it. He said, from the day you walked on this campus, everything that you did made me look good. Made me look good. And he said, thank you. He said, congratulations. I said, well, Coach, thank you. Now, Galatians chapter 5, verse 19 and 20. Johnny, I'm just paraphrasing here.
No, go ahead.
It says, the works of the flesh, the sins of the flesh, hatred, jealousy, envy, outburst of anger. People who incorporate these things will never inherit the kingdom of heaven. But the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, kindness, gentleness, faith, self-control. There is no law for these things. Let us walk in the Spirit. When I went in to see the coach and he got upset, his door was open. And all the coaches were at their desk and they heard everything that happened.
Wow.
Now, Tom says in his book that when you are being attacked in public like that and you react, that is the best way to destroy your career. If you react with anger, if you yell back, that is the best way to destroy your career. Now, point in case, every single one of those coaches called me and thanked me for the time that I served with them coaching in that program. One of the younger coaches got a head coaching job, and he called me and he said, Coach Hearn, he said, I've set up a program where I want you to come in and talk to my athletes. I'm the head coach at this school. I want you to come in and talk to my athletes, my coaches, and the parents. I put together this program for you. He said, the day that I've got here, I have been doing nothing but praising you, praising your name. He said, I want them to meet you. Johnny, do you think those coaches would have called me and told me how much they appreciate me being a part of that program if I had reacted in that situation with the head coach? Do you think that young coach would have called me and invited me to talk to his parents, his players, and his coaches if I had reacted in that situation? Absolutely not. He wouldn't. Why? Because I would have lost my power and my influence in their lives. It's just like Mr. Rutledge, right? I love Mr. Rutledge with all my heart, but if he had yelled and screamed and got angry in that situation, Johnny, I would have looked at him a little differently, right?
Absolutely.
He would have lost his influence, a little influence in my life, right? Now I'm getting ready to coach, John.
Huh?
I'm getting ready to coach. So this is what we have to do. Remember, there are two things that's important about self-control. Number one, you got to stay calm. Within staying calm, there's three things that we have to keep in mind. You have to think, listen, and breathe. Now, even the best of us, when we are attacked unexpectedly, you know what we do? Subconsciously, we stop breathing. And when you stop breathing, it impairs your ability to think and listen. So, think, listen, and breathe. Number two, self-control. Do not let anyone make a victim out of you. What happens when we're made a victim of? When we think we're a victim, there's three things. We fight, we freeze, or we run, right?
Huh?
If we fight, we lose our power. If we freeze, we lose our influence. If we run, we do not solve the conflict because we don't give ourselves the opportunity to ask the two questions. What are the two questions? Would a secure person say or do these things? And why is that person insecure? The greatest example and the greatest message that we can take that will help us do anything with solving conflict God's way is to go back to James and what he said. My brothers and sisters, each of you need to understand this. Be quick to hear, slow to speak, and even slow to anger. Why? Because your anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Amen.
Amen. Coach, can I be vulnerable here for a second?
Yes, you can.
I don't even know if people are watching this. People are coming and going, but you are speaking to me right now. Last night, as we were coming home, leaving the church, doing some of the prep work for the taco fundraiser we're doing today, I'm going home. I've got the Christian station going on, right, like every good Christian does.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on my way home. I'm fixing to turn. I see there's a little truck, like a little window washing, cleaning truck, a little Ford Ranger, and I'm fixing to take my left. It's my right of way, and this truck comes out in front of me and almost hits me, and I have to swerve completely out of the way. And then he has the audacity to look at me like I'm the idiot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Coach, I'm almost ashamed to say I reacted,
Yes.
and I went down and I said, "This no good for nothing. I saw his logos on the side of the truck, so I made a turn. I went down and I'm fixing to catch the number on this truck, and I'm gonna call his boss first thing in the morning, and I'm gonna tell him." And then the light was red and I couldn't go, but I was so upset and so mad that I thought about running the red light because he took a right and he went on down the road, and I was still mad, and I was like, I'm not gonna run this light to catch up to him. I'll catch him at the next light, and this light, I kid you not, would not turn green.
That's God.
There was no cars coming. I know they're on sensors, but this light would not turn green, and it stayed red for so long that I heard a still small voice, and I was like, Lord, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Lord, thank you for your hand of protection. Lord, thank you for keeping me safe.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, I don't know what that person was going through. I don't know what he may not have even seen me.
Yes.
I just took a left when the light finally turned green and went home. Coach, you stepped all over my toes this morning. And I'm wearing steel toe boots.
I love it.
I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this. I don't know if the viewers did, but man, this is all. One thing I've shared with people, even when you play hot potato, right? Because you tend to react when somebody throws you a hot potato,
That's right.
and you can't see the. I don't know if you can see this behind me. I have a choose to win banner up there,
Yes, you do.
but a lot of people don't realize that you have a choice to not catch the potato.
You do.
And and you can see it later, but in the heading I put up there, welcome Dr. Coach Nate Hearn, author of Friday Night Lights, Untold Stories from Behind the Lights. You'll be blessed beyond measure to tune in, so get your pen and paper ready. I said there's something about the knowledge and wisdom that's going to be dropped from the good Lord above. And so I put on there the last statement. I said, guys, this is why we do what we do.
Exactly.
Because once we understand why we do what we do, the how will come. Unfortunately, too many people try to figure out the how first, and it doesn't quite work that way.
Doesn't quite work that way.
So, Coach, again, thank you for your time. I've exceeded it. I appreciate you fitting me into your schedule. Any parting words, anything you'd like to leave the viewers, anything that you'd like to share with them, go ahead, knock yourself out.
I think that more than anything else, what you've done is you're following the Ziegler example about your significance and helping people do more, have more, and be more than they ever imagined. Don't you get discouraged. Keep pushing for the Lord, Johnny. I'm going to keep praying for you.
And I
Amen.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I receive it. I receive it because I know that God is about to do some wonderful things. I love the scripture where it talks about how eye has not seen, nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man, the things that God has prepared for us. And I can't tell you how many people I've shared this, that God already has the blessing prepared for you. He's not preparing the blessing, he's preparing you
To receive it.
for the blessing.
Yes.
Hey, Coach, I thank you so much. I appreciate you being on here. I'll go ahead and wrap this thing up so that people can go on with their day. But the majority of the people watch this on the replay, so we'll probably and I tagged you on there so people can find you on social
Yes,
media. I went back and looked at some of the YouTube videos that you have out there. Whoever did your hype video, man, they did an incredible, as as Howard Partridge would say, they did a phenomenal job. Doing that hype video. I got hyped up with you, and I was like, we're gonna have to do this in person, and we're gonna have to get you out here to the Tyler community, so these people can see. Because every time I go and I hear you speak, man, I want to have somebody almost like Billy Cox. I want somebody to get me some of that IV and get me a blood transfusion from that guy. I need some of that stuff coursing through their veins.
yes, we do.
Anyway, man, I appreciate you. I love you, brother. Thank you so much. I can't tell you enough how much I'm humbled and grateful that you did this for us.
Love you too, my brother, and I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. All
Bye-bye,
right,
John.
bye-bye. All right, guys, there you go. The man, I'm not going to say the myth because he's here. He is one of the people that you will, if you ever get a chance to hear him speak, Friday Night Lights from behind the lights, right? Untold stories from behind the lights. Guys, hey, listen, if you're just joining us, if you catch us on the replay, his camera wouldn't come on. He was traveling, so that might have been a deal. It might have been some kind of deal built into his phone where it won't let the camera come on while he's driving. But the audio is golden. The audio, you'll definitely want to make sure that you listen to this because he drops some golden nuggets. Don't ever allow anybody to make you feel or become a victim. I love what Eleanor Roosevelt said. She said, nobody, not them, not him, not her, not whatever, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. Don't you dare give it to them. Don't you dare focus on what other people think and what other people say about you. I get it. Sometimes there's gun war. Sometimes there's gunfire. There's warfare going on inside these 6 inches between your ears. And like I've told them, the real estate professionals, that real estate in between your 6 inches, right, 7 for some, like I like to say, that is the most valuable piece of real estate in the entire universe. Don't you dare let anything infiltrate or come in and start to spread negative, cancerous, and virus type of thoughts, because those thoughts become seeds, and those seeds, whenever they stay in the ground, right? The heart is the ground. Once they stay in that heart long enough, they tend to start putting roots in. And once those roots take, and they, if you ever have to rip those out, y'all have seen what a root does to the ground. When you start to rip it out, it starts to tear up the ground all around it. Don't you dare let those negative thoughts get into your mind, and definitely don't let them get into your heart, because once they take root, all of a sudden, like the Bible says, they start to, right out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And that's what I love about Dr. Coach Hearn. Guys, he spoke to my heart today. He spoke to my soul today, and I don't want to get emotional, but it's exactly what I needed to hear, because of an event that happened to me last night. Oh, so mad! I was so mad. I was ready to. Anyway, luckily, the Lord calmed me down, and I was like, "Hey, I got a taco fundraiser to do tomorrow. You idiot! Don't you try to get in my way." But guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys coming on here. I can't tell how much I really do appreciate the comments that you guys put in the comment section, the instant messengers, the IM, the direct messages you guys sent to me. I appreciate you. Thank you. I got to get out of here. I got to go prep for the taco fundraiser. Again, if you're in the Tyler vicinity, come on out, 14151 Rose Quarter Road. We're going to be doing a taco fundraiser for the Mardi Gras King, which probably going to be Don Warren, right, the mayor. But we're going to put up a good fight. We're going to raise some money for Pat to be able, for them to be able to do more so that people can have more in this community, because that's why we do it. We want to give more, to serve more, to help more in this community. All right, guys, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Adios.